Cheap and Cheerful, and today it's brushless turbofan with quiet operation and long battery life.
We made it up.
Yes, we've all seen those nifty little turbofan things, and if you've not tried one, well, they're very powerful and can be quite useful for quick cleanups and blowing stuff around, kind of like a little air compressor or those canned air dusters, which are great, but at $8 or $10 a pop, they can get really expensive really fast. Of course, cost has always been a problem too with these jet fans. My one here, a Kica Jet 2, which I've had for about 6 months now. I bought it for about $100, and today it's still going for $70 to $100 on Amazon, depending what pack you get, even with the save $20 coupons. That said, you can buy this one cheaper on AliExpress for about $50, a much better price, and the postage is usually quick these days too. But recently things have started to change, and I've begun to notice much cheaper, suspiciously cheaper turbofans appear online, many of them in the $25 to $30 range. Now, you might be familiar with this design, which has been around for a while and has usually been one of the better price models, but I was surprised to see that right now it's selling for as little as $16 posted. That's 16 Yankee Doodle dollars, or about 25 shrimps on the barbie. No joke, you can see here what I paid. $22.99 Aussie before tax, which is about $16 US after tax. Posted, arrived in 7 days. Amazing. And so obviously I thought, no way this thing is legit.
No way!
It's got to be a fake or a scam or whatever. So I ordered this full well knowing there's a 95% chance it was going to be like 5-volt DC brushed motor in there with room for a couple of AA's. But well, after a week, it's arrived and I was proper surprised. You might even say that I was blown away.
This guy stinks!
So opening it up, very simple, no special accessories. We've got the unit there, a little manual, charge cable, this magnetic nozzle thing on the front, which is neat. The nozzle does look slightly different to the picture, so I guess product development, but it is pretty nifty. It just kind of slips on the front there with a magnetic click. And if you did want different nozzle types, there are several 3D printed ones online, which I'm sure is going to be pretty popular given how cheap and accessible this thing is, especially for hobbyists. But anyway, the question that needs to be answered, does it suck? Does it blow? Does that make any sense? I don't know. Let's check it out and go. Not bad. So it is a brushless motor in. I mean, you can barely buy a brushless motor by itself for that much money. Never mind the battery, the switch, the case, the charging stuff. So it seems like a pretty good deal for hobbyists like me, or if you don't care about any of that stuff and just want to blow things around. Now, the link is in the description for this. I paid $16 US, but please keep in mind, AliExpress changes prices like I change my underwear, at least once every few weeks. So if you check it out and it's suddenly double the price, don't worry, it'll just be between promotions. So check back a bit later or check the front page to see when the next sale is on, whether there are any coupons, that kind of stuff. Okay, so is it just as powerful as my expensive name brand Kica Jet 2? We'll test that out. And more importantly, for all you geeks out there, what does it look like inside? Is it super dodgy? Is it reasonable? And I got to tell you, for the price, I wouldn't be surprised if there was this little tiny 100 milliamp pout cell inside from a toy. It did seem to charge in about 2 minutes, no lie, but maybe it just came pre-charged from the factory. I don't know. Okay, now first, obviously the Kica Jet 2 is a premium product. It's made of anodized aluminium. It's curvy in all the right places, and it's beautifully presented. It's got a variable speed switch, so you can make it go slow or fast, slide it to exactly where you want. The circuitry inside treats the motor quite well by spooling it up carefully, and it's being honest with its battery capacity at 1,100 milliamps, which is enough to dry quite a bit of my car. So how does it sound? Starting off on the lowest power and pushing it up, It sounds like an F-35 spooling up. It's pretty sweet, and for the noise alone, I love this thing. Honestly, I've no idea why you'd not run it on full power all the time. Maybe there's a reason to run it lower, batteries I guess, but it's still a nice option to have. There is the Type-C charger port along the bottom, and it comes with a few different nozzles, including this pointy one, which has a similar effect to one of those canned air spray things for cleaning out electronics in hard-to-reach places. Now, I got the pack that doesn't have the vacuum cleaner attachment, but you can still buy that pack too. Link is in the description for this thing. It comes with an adapter, which I assume is for something like that, and a standard nozzle. So let's take a look at the 16-buck chuck, or as they call it, the Violent Fan. So obviously this is made to a price. It's not trying to be flashy. It's entirely plastic, but it feels solid in hand. Reassuringly, I'm seeing lots of screws around that'll help us take it apart or repair it, so it's not all just glued in and snapped in, which is a good thing. The actual business end, little turbine ducted unit here, they all seem to have the exact same motor, and it kind of makes me wonder, how come these things have all just suddenly appeared in the past few years, all with a very similar looking motor and design? Did the patent run out? Did a Dyson factory shut down in China so all the machines went for cheap? There's a whole bunch of motor stock just dumped on the market so they're very cheap to buy? Well, yeah, I think that's pretty much what's happened, because all over AliExpress for about $12 or $13, you can get what looks to me like the exact same ducted motor. We'll take a closer look at that when we take it apart soon so you can see the same. All right, what else? So this unit has a single on and off switch, which is perfectly fine. Type-C charge port on the bottom here, and that's about it. Okay, so how can we test these properly to see whether the cheapie performs anywhere near the level of the more expensive unit? Well, the most scientific way to test these would be to use an anemometer, which is a tool for testing wind speed. I'm sure I've completely buggered up how to say that. Now, this one I've got here is for testing the actual wind speed before flying an RC plane or drone, and so I'm not sure it's going to live up to the actual near cyclone speeds coming out of these things, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, so first up we'll start with the Kica Jet Fan 2. I've put it on the highest setting, and go. Okay, so that got up to about 70 miles per hour, which I'm pretty sure that is cyclone speeds. Let's check this other one. Okay, let's go. Okay, I think that got up to about 63 miles an hour, which is also pretty darn fast. All right, let's try a retest with nozzles, the standard nozzles that come with them, and we'll see how we go. I would assume this one's going to have an advantage because it's got a smaller nozzle, which I think is going to increase the speed of the air coming out, but we'll see. Okay, so best I was able to get was about 73, so it didn't actually make that much of a difference, but it did focus the air a whole lot more, which would certainly be useful when you're blowing stuff around. Now our Violent Fan with the nozzle that comes with it. So the most I got from there was about 64. Okay, so it does seem like these are both providing roughly the same performance, which is not surprising given my theory that they're all the same brushless ducted fans inside. The Kica definitely registered a bit faster, about 9 miles an hour faster than the Violent Fan, but when you consider 50 bucks versus 16 bucks, yeah, the difference is probably going to be due to the quality of the battery inside and the gauge of wiring, assuming the motors are the same. So next, for a less scientific test, let's see if they can blow up a balloon. I'll use the Kica just because this has a much friendlier nozzle for doing this. Go. Not even a chance. But why? When you've got something like this that puts out a pathetic amount of air, can blow up a balloon much easier. Well, I'm not a scientist, but I assume it's got to do with air pressure. The air has nowhere to escape outwards when you're pushing on this, but with the turbo fans, it goes in, it hits the back of the balloon, and then rebounds right out the back. Okay, so now we know what kind of performance we get for our money. Let's open up the Violent Fan and see what's inside. I'm particularly interested in what battery is being used, whether the wiring, the soldering, and the general build quality is chonky or dangerous, or maybe pretty decent. So for this, I'll be using my CreationSpace CS0802. It's a nifty little precision electric screwdriver. It's really good value. It's about 25 bucks, depending on whether it's on sale. If you're interested in these things, I've done a bunch of reviews on precision screwdrivers. I'll put down the link to that latest video in the description so you can watch it later. Okay. Let's open it up. And, well, we have two 18650 batteries, which is a pleasant surprise. So it's not just a dodgy little pouch pack or something like that. More surprising, though, it's using proper hobby-grade silicon wires. I didn't expect to see that on such a cheap tool. In fact, looking at this more and more, I suspect they're just clearing out stock. There's no way they can be making any profit at the current price. So taking a closer look at the board there, just looks like a typical charging circuit. There's certainly room there for other components that haven't been included. Nothing much else on the back, some more room for some other components that aren't there, but it seems to be put together reasonably well. There is something under here. I wonder what that is. Maybe we can dig a bit deeper and find out. Now, I do not recommend doing this yourself. Getting into batteries like this can be very dangerous. And wow, there is a whole other circuit in here. Very interesting. So looking in the battery here on the side, it looks like we've got a brushless motor controller, a whole bunch of big ass transistors there. This is what I expect to see on a typical brushless ESC. I'd been expecting that the brushless ESC was on the back of the motor because I could see some electronics there, but that must be just something else required to drive the brushless. Okay, so moving along, what else have we got here? Probably the only shonky thing I can see in here, if you can see it just in there, is the way that they've glued in the switch. It's just a bit of hot glue that's holding it in there. That's not going to take too much abuse, but would be pretty easy to repair, just taking the case off and re-gluing it if need be. So I'm not too worried about that. Going a bit further, let's see if we can get into this motor. So taking off the back here, we can see a bunch more electronics on the rear of the brushless motor. So taking a closer look inside, on the edges of the brushless motor case, you can kind of see some little bits sticking out that are gripping the sides of the case. So I suspect that they've just shoved this in and it just kind of friction fits in there. There's no screws or anything like that. So if you really applied enough force, I'm sure you could push the motor out. The rest of this case just seems to be one big blow molded piece that comes straight out of the machine. Brushless motor just pushes in there. They solder up the switch and the thick silicon wires to the battery into the ESC, and then the charge circuit down here. Okay, so that's the inside of the Violent Fan. Overall, I'm pretty impressed. Obviously, it's made to a price, but the components are good, the wiring's good. The only thing I didn't like was that hot glued switch, but that looks easily repairable if it ever did fail. Now, while I'd love to do a teardown on my Kica Jet 2 for comparison, this, like most modern design products, has no visible screws and I suspect a whole bunch of glue and snap fits, so I'm very likely to damage or dent this lovely anodized case, which is something I'd very much like to avoid, especially while I'm just a small channel and paying for all this myself. But maybe if you help me out by hitting on that subscribe button down there, I'll be able to take apart more expensive stuff in the future. I do know that about 95% of you guys are not subscribers, so please do me a favor, give it a click so we can grow this channel and do lots more unique and interesting stuff in the future. So the question remains, is this Violent Fan worth 16 bucks on sale? Heck yes, even just for the parts it's worth more than that. But as a useful device, absolutely. It's entirely practical. I'd be quite happy paying twice what I got it for. It'd still be worth it. Now, if you're planning using something like this for longer periods, more than just faffing around like I am, I definitely recommend going for something higher grade, such as the Kica, mostly just because it's higher quality and I've used it myself for a while, so I know it's reliable over time. The battery inside's probably going to be much higher quality and last over a longer period, the switches, all that kind of stuff. Plus you get extra accessories. But either way, if you're looking for something that sucks and blows, you can't go wrong either with the Violent Fan or the Kica 2. So that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Take care of yourselves and I'll see you next time.